Yes, yes, people. What's happening? Welcome to Saeed TV and welcome back to the Friday night debate show. We are live again, and we got another esteemed panel with us, man. I'm just going to introduce them one by one. We've got on to my right, Charlie. Charlie, how are you, mate?
Sorry, mate. I forgot I muted myself there. I'm all good, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Good as can be, man. Good as can be. We got Adam, man. Good to have you back, man. Exam season and all that. Everything going madness. How are you,
Yeah,
man?
yeah. I'm all right. I'm all right, bro. I'm all right. Thank you very much. Hope you're doing well as well. Happy
Yeah.
to be here as always.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And man like Statman Baines in the building. Statman, it's been a while, man. Feel like we're not doing a stream in a while, man. What are you saying?
It's only been a week as well, that's the mad thing.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't
But
it?
I'm
It just
good.
shows you how because I think you know what it is. It's when people do streaming like every day and like, we have like games or whatnot. We probably choose sort of like Red Talk or whatever, or you know what I mean. So big up to everybody who's here, man. Big up to Troops Toenail goes. Big up Saeed from a Newcastle United supporter. Big up to you, man. Big up to you. But listen, Danny will be coming in. He's just going to join us in a few minutes, hopefully. But yeah, centre backs, man. Centre backs, key issue, key priority. I'm gonna start off with you, Statman Bays. How crucial is it that Man United get this centre back sorted out this summer, man? You know what I mean? We need proper centre halves coming in, man. How much of a priority is it?
I can't lie. For me, I don't even think it's the biggest priority in my eyes. The biggest
All right.
priority for me is in front, in the midfield. Like I've always said this, every single of our defenders are looking bad. Rafa
Mm.
Varane's not a bad defender, but he's looking bad in this team right now. There's only
Yep.
one reason. Our defensive organization as an entire team is shocking. Like we always say this, for example, if wingers are not tracking back. You don't defend just by a back four kind of thing. You defend as a team. And as a
Mm.
team, we can't defend at all. That's
Mm.
what I'm kind of like. As much as we want a centre back, for me, the main thing is always organisation. If Ken Ten Hag get these lot organised, then the next thing is can we improve on the quality at the back, which I do think we need an upgrade on a couple of players at the back, especially at
Yeah,
the
for
centre back
me, like I
area.
said, I genuinely think it's a key priority because I feel like the four that Man United have been struggling is the two centre backs and the two in front. You know, I don't know what you think, Adam, but for me, they're the key priority Man United to start this season because that's where Olga Solskjaer failed and Ralph Rangnick couldn't get his grips on. You know, that midfield there where we were outplayed and outnumbered, and the aggressive, the press. We couldn't press anything. We couldn't be aggressive enough. You know, do you see it like Statman Base? Do you not see it as a more of a as a worry as I feel?
I think it's a I think it's a big priority to be honest. I think if we are to make four signings, I would get two midfielders and two centre halves. I think
Mm,
that is the most urgent thing. And then I know we need fullbacks and I know we need another striker because we only have Ronaldo. Martial is leaving probably, so I know we
yeah.
need other positions to fill in. But I can't have Maguire and Lindelof. I just can't do it.
Mm,
We need two centre halves and we need two midfielders because I can't deal with Fred and McTominay again. And I like
mm,
Fred, but we need to upgrade in the spine of the team.
yep.
And when you get a good, strong spine, it's easier to
Mm,
organize the team, like Statman said, which is a very, very important thing. And it's a very good point. You need to organize the team as a whole to play as a whole. But you need a structure, you need a spine. And I think two centre halves and two midfielders are absolutely crucial. Because look, Varane is going to get injured and then back. You have Lindelof and Maguire coming back in. So I would get
mm,
the two centre halves who are linked to. I would get them both to be honest.
mm. Absolutely, absolutely. Big up to Daddy in the cut. Um, for me, Charlie, you know, in terms of someone's asking here, we can't do everything in one summer. But do you think the priority in centre backs is a key one this summer to rectify? Maguire, again, obviously there's a lot of pressure on him. Lindelof really hasn't shown us why he should be number one choice centre back, and he's been here what 5 years now, isn't it? He came in what 2017. He came in, so he's been
Yeah.
here 5 years. You know what I mean? It's not as if he's come round the corner. He came same summer that Matic came in. What do you think, mate, in terms of centre backs this summer?
Uh, yeah, I think it's a big concern as well for me. I would echo the thoughts in terms of midfield. I think we definitely need two midfield players. I've got a bit of a worry that if we sign De Jong, that might be the only one. I'm slightly worried about what Man United are doing at the moment, the way everything's sounding, the options that are going day by day to other teams. Obviously, we've seen Kamara go to Villa. We're seeing Tchouaméni most likely go to Real Madrid, but actually they're asking for more money at the moment, so we don't know. Sangare, he'll probably end up going somewhere in the next few weeks as well. And we just need to be a bit careful, because in the past, what Man United have done is we've signed players that are available, big money signings, rather than actually signing what we need. And don't get me wrong, I would love Frankie de Jong and I'd sign him in a heartbeat, but we've got to make sure that that's not the only midfield player we sign. And then after midfield, we need at least one centre-back, I think. Timber, I think we're going to do. I think you're going to talk about, are we, in a bit? You know, the different players and stuff. Obviously, you've got Timber, you've got Torres. There's a few other names as well that we can have a talk about for sure. But I think one centre back for me at least. And obviously, if you've got a player like Timber, you've got a player who's versatile who can play centre back or right back. So that gives you a bit more versatility as well. So yeah, at least one centre back. But I'm a sort of person. I always thought that Ollie signed too many attacking players without signing defensive midfield player and maybe another centre back or a better centre back than he signed in the end. So I think you've got to build from the back, build the foundation. So yeah, I do agree. I think we need midfielders and defenders. We need at least 4, I would say, midfield and defence combined in some sort of ratio. I think we need 4 players from that area, whether it's 2 midfielders, a centre-back and a full-back. Probably that would be my choice.
Absolutely. Big up to man like Josh T becoming a YouTube member. Big up to you, bro. Love the support for the channel. Anyone that wants to become a member as well, hit the join button and do support the channel. Danny, big up to you, man. Listen, centre-backs, I think they're, for me, is a massive problem for me. I think it all depends on, for me, partnerships are built. That's how we won trophies. Okay, Man City have swapped their centre-backs all season, but they've got a greater ideology, a greater philosophy. We haven't got anything at the minute. And for us to have at least a good centre-back pairing, that would come a long way for me. How important is it for you, or do you disagree?
It's important. Look, I can be swayed on many different preferences, and that's because we've got a lot of work to do to build this team to the standard we want it to be at. That's why I can be swayed in different ways. 2 centre backs, I think, it's just the reach. If I'm expecting 5 signings, I can't dedicate 2 to centre backs. I could dedicate the 5th signing to a full back. So if you give me a centre back and a full back, and even then, I think that full back coming in is dependent on Wan-Bissaka leaving. So centre back's important, but listen, 2 midfielders is more important than 1 centre back. If you gave me a choice, 1 centre back or 2 midfielders, I'm taking 2 midfielders every day of the week. Give me a DM and give me De Jong. I'm not asking for too much. It's important for Ten Hag as well that he gets De Jong and that DM. It's not just, look, we know De Jong's a quality player, but if you understand how Ten Hag plays, he needs the base of his team to be reliable in that build-up structure. He creates a lot of space the space between the defense and the attack, and he needs those guys to be reliable, progressing the ball. That's why he wants Timber. If he gets De Jong and Timber, De Jong will drop, Timber can progress, the base of the team is sorted there. That's why De Jong and Timber playing as a centre-back, or even a right centre-back in a more, if you get what I'm saying, Kyle Walker settings, but you can do more than Kyle Walker. I take that scenario, but a DM has to be there for me. That's non-negotiable. We're going to need another striker. I can't imagine Martial at age 27 wanting to be rotated with Ronaldo. That's why he left, right? He left for a reason. He's been at this club since he was, 19? Did he join 19, Said? Or was it 18?
Yeah, 19, from Monaco, yeah.
So if you're 19 years old and you were thinking about what your career is going to look like at Man United, and here you are competing with a 37-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo, who half the time is good and half the time is amazing. Is that what he saw for his career? I think people, don't get me wrong, if he stays, I'll back him, but I think we need to expect Martial to leave. And if that happens, we need another striker. Cavani's leaving as well. So for me, centre-back, right-back, 2 midfielders and a striker, that's 5 signings. So that's the way I'd go about it for me.
I think, obviously, you know what I mean, Adam, we've been linked with some defenders. You've got Pau Torres. I want to discuss Pau Torres, Adam. For me, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I put the title, is it just another Lindelof Spanish Lindelof. You know what I mean? Or am I disrespecting Pau Torres there? I'm not sure. He's good on his feet. I think Lindelof is steady with his feet on the ball, good ball progressor. But does it give you that outstanding quality that you think he could come to Man United and imprint his style and make us a better team defensively? Or do we need to use his other abilities in terms of playing out from the back, and then we use the defensive, structure that Danny alludes to in terms of the DM that can cover the the cracks that he leaves behind? Where are you looking at with Pau Torres?
I think he's a good player, to be honest, and I think he would improve us because I don't think we had good centre halves at the moment. I think we only have Varane that is good. My problem with Pau Torres is the report saying the board wants him, but Ten Hag wants Timber. So if that's true, I would go with what Ten Hag wants. For me, that's the most important. Who does he want? Does he want Timber over Pau Torres, or then go with Timber? And if, like I said, I would take 2 centre backs, to be honest. I would take them both. I think it's very important we get the spine right, because I hear what Dan is saying about we need a striker and we need a fullback as well. But like someone said in the comments earlier, we can't solve everything. I think the spine in one summer, we can't solve everything in one summer. I think the spine is very important. I think if you get good centre halves playing well with the 2 midfielders, it's easier to make do with the wide areas and the forwards just until January. Because I agree, we need wide players and we need forwards. We really, really, really do. And going back to your initial question about Pau Torres, I would take him, to be honest. I don't know what are the reported prices, but I think he's a good player. I think he's an elegant player. I don't think people talk about the pace, and Statman will agree with me on that. And maybe we'll come back to the pace later. I don't think it's as important as people make it, to be honest. I would take him. And the left-footed thing, yeah, it's nice, but I don't think it's that important, to be honest. Like it's a bit exaggerated, the importance people give to left-footed centre half and this and that. But going back is really between Timber and Pau Torres. And if the board are only willing to get one, go with the one the manager wants. That's really my point, to be honest.
Charlie, what qualities do you think that Pau Torres has that we need? Have you watched a bit about him? What do you know about Pau Torres?
Yeah. I actually did a bit of research before I came on tonight because I thought, why not? So Pau Torres, I watched him against Liverpool in the second leg of the Champions League. And a lot of people were not too sure. And I think he sort of gets renowned as sort of a passive defender. And that is true in some extent. Like, for example, Victor Lindelof wins more aerial duels percentage-wise than Pau Torres does. And Pau Torres is taller than Lindelof. So it's not all about height. It's also about aggression. And despite that, on the ball, Pau Torres, and it's interesting when you compare 2 players. So let's say we compare Timber and Torres. You can't just compare their stats. You have to compare what you see on the pitch and also what systems they're playing in. Now, Pau Torres is playing in a more rigid system in Villarreal. It's not entirely rigid, but it's more rigid, less fluid than the Ajax system. And he's still ranking in the top percentiles for progressive carries, bringing the ball out, progressive passes in the top percentiles, playing in a team that's more rigid in a 4-4-2, where those passing options might not be as good. So I think that is very, very impressive, playing in a 4-4-2 with those sort of statistics. And it's not all about stats, but when I've watched him, he's looked very, very good on the ball. If you can back the eye test up with stats, that's great. So on the ball, I think he'd be very, very good for us. Off the ball, I agree. I think Statman put a tweet out in the week about pace and a high line. And it is some people just think if you're not particularly fast, you can't play high line. Well, that's not entirely true. It's about positioning, your intelligence, reading of the game. And he does read the game quite well, Pau Torres. He does read the game quite well. So I would certainly be up for it, Pau Torres. But as Adam said, my worry is the report that came out that it's Ten Hag wants Timber, and it's the board that have suggested Torres. So let's see. I don't want any signings being made unless Ten Hag's really, really giving the thumbs up. But let's be honest, we shouldn't even be considering this at Manchester United. The manager should always have the say on transfers. I mean, it's ridiculous that the manager doesn't have a say on transfers. It's like if you're running a business and they're hiring employees without you accepting it. It's ridiculous. It should never happen. So I'm hoping that hopefully we can just back Ten Hag and not sign anybody that he doesn't 100% want, because that's just illogical. It doesn't make any sense.
He starts for Spain. Statman, he features a lot for Spain. Plays alongside. Is it who does he play alongside again?
Laporte.
Laporte, yeah. 2 left-footed centre backs as well. I don't know how he works with that one. People are saying you're going to watch him in the Euro Nations. What's your opinion, man, of Pau Torres? Do you think I've given him a bit more criticism? Is he like another Lindelof?
See, my opinion on Pau Torres, I'll be honest, in the Euros, I don't think he impressed me that much, I'll be honest. I don't think Spain, don't get me wrong, Spain was still one of the best sides in the tournament, but I don't think Pau Torres impressed me that much, playing in a much higher line and stuff. And I think, I always say this, every signing there's a risk in it. We're seeing Pau Torres playing a more rigid system where he's going to have a lot more protection at Villarreal than he does at, for example, maybe Timber has at Ajax, for example.
Yeah.
Do you want to take that risk on Pau Torres then, considering the amount of money he's going to be on? Like that we're going to have to pay? Or would you rather sign someone like Timber who's probably more used to the system and is less of a risk? I think it's just up to what the club want. I would personally go with Timber, especially if Ten Hag wants him, because I think that's less of a risk. But I'm not saying Pau Torres is a bad player, because obviously Charlie spoke about it. On the ball, he's phenomenal. His numbers are phenomenal on the ball. Like he's literally one of the best in Europe. And he's left-footed, which obviously Timber isn't, which is a positive.
The only thing is with that, Danny, the qualities on the ball, you're not going to get that in the Premier League. You're not going to see that more than maybe the Spanish League, where they're open to playing that way. You know what I mean? It's honest football. Premier League, you know what I mean? You're going to get people coming at you. It's ferocious. It's, that kind of elegance. You know what I mean? I think Laporte switches his game. Sometimes he's aggressive. Sometimes he'll play it, How do you see Pau Torres adapted to the Premier League? Can he adapt?
On the ball, no issues whatsoever. 0. I get onto him on Twitter a little bit, or when I'm talking to certain man, just to do it in it, because the Lindelof thing I find funny. But with the ball, he's actually more proactive. One of my biggest gripes with Lindelof is that he's not proactive. The talent is there. The talent is there. Defensively, super intelligent, but he uses it in a passive way. I'll get to that with Pau Torres. But with the ball, Lindelof's not proactive enough. If he just increased his volume just a little bit with threaded passes, with long passes, with progression. I'm not talking like fourfold, just a few more in all these categories. We get the benefit of the talent. He's not proactive enough. So Pau Torres, I've got no issues with the ball. Without the football, again, like Lindelof, he's intelligent, positionally very good, reads the game, all those things you like.
Yeah.
Is he decisive? Is he proactive? Will he be aggressive enough in the Premier League coming over? I think he's going to be 26 by the time the season starts, or during the season.
Nice age.
Sorry?
It's a nice age, mature enough, not younger.
It is a nice age. That's the only question mark. I actually think he's stronger than Lindelof. I wouldn't go off one season of like head and jewels as well, because I think earlier on in the season, I'm pretty sure Pau Torres is in the 70s, so it looked like it might have dipped by the end of the season. In the year, he's actually just a stronger bet. Yeah, he's actually better than Lindelof actually over his career. So it's not, those things don't worry me. It's just, I just have a big bias against passive defenders. But I do wonder why people keep talking about the board. It's not the board. Man United's recruitment team have suggested and are pushing Pau Torres. What's bothering me is that nobody's explaining why. This idea that the recruitment team, over this relationship they're going to have with Ten Hag, can never suggest players to me is ridiculous. They should be suggesting players to him, but he should get the final say. I haven't seen anything to suggest he's not going to get the final say. Right now, it's just Timber or Torres, because they can only get one. I just want to know the reasoning why they're pushing for Pau. I know why he's pushing for Timber, and my preference is
left side is centre back. Left side, we've not had a left foot since Rojo, really.
It could be that. It could be
maybe
that.
Maybe the data.
And Varane are the only two centre backs we have that are comfortable. So forget the left foot thing. Who's comfortable playing in the left centre back position? We only have 2 players who can do it, and I haven't seen Varane do it in the Premier League to a good standard. I've seen him do it in the Liga when he was younger, covering for Pepe and Ramos. He'd cover Pepe's side when he was in his early 20s. But yeah, so we've only got 2 centre backs who are comfortable there. The second one, nobody wants him here anymore. So I can see some reasons, but I still need more. I don't know. I'd like to actually understand what the dialogue is between them on that. But for me, yeah, like everyone else, I still would prefer Timber though. That's what Ten Hag wants. And plus, I know why he wants Timber. Timber's potential is higher than Pau Torres's. So
massively. There's no question with that one.
Simple.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up to my guy Nathan Minas with the super chat. I think you should have went for Rudiger. Yeah, Rudiger would have been an ideal centre back that United.
Rudiger's a champion. He's not coming here, man.
Yeah, man. Exactly.
He's not as dumb as Ronaldo, innit? He knows what gone. He's gonna go somewhere where he can actually win.
Yeah, I think Grace. I think he might be around 50 to 60 million. There's a question here. He's closed. Yeah. There's a question here, Charlie. You just have to watch Torres against our attack in the Europa League final to see how good he is. If he plays the Ten Hag way and the manager wants him, why should we care? Should we care? Charlie?
I said I have a bias. Well, I'm acknowledging my bias. I have a problem. If Ten Hag, listen, Torres is a good defender. I don't think anybody here said otherwise. He's a good defender. It's just we think Timber's going to be better. That's all. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree, but I don't think anyone thinks he's a bad defender.
The thing is with the first line, I don't want to even talk about the Europa League final because everything. I wish I was the manager. If I was the manager for that Europa League final, I think we would have won the final last year. I think that was terrible mismanagement. Terrible mismanagement. I'm still angry about that game. But anyway, don't think about our attack was useless. The lineup was wrong. Everything. But in terms of what you say, Ten Hag, where the manager wants him, fantastic. We're just giving our opinion. Now, everyone's got different opinions. Personally, I think Torres, no one doubts his technical ability. I think it's off the ball, the passive defender nature. A little bit about stopping counterattacks that could be a problem as well. But we'll see. You know, everyone's going to give their opinion. It's like people say we'll back everything Ten Hag does. But if you say that a few months down the line, we're all going to be giving our opinion on Ten Hag. And if we're losing a game, we're going to. You still got to be held accountable. You know, it's not like Ten Hag's going to come in and for 5 years we're not going to say anything about him. We're not going to be calling him out after a few months. But we've also got to say, you know, we've also got to criticise him if he gets things wrong in 2 or 3 years' time. Of course we have. So we've just got to give our opinions.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you a question, Side, quickly?
Yeah, go for it.
Just on, try to imagine, and this is just me being constructive and proactive about Pau Torres. Do you think Lindelof would have benefited playing in Louis van Gaal's system, where there was an element of predictability to the defensive duties you were going to have?
100%. Because everybody would benefit from that, because that's the last time we had probably the best structure as a whole, because that's probably the weakest squad we had and probably the most consistent pattern of playing that we had. So I think Lindelof would be better with 100%. But I just wanted to touch on something really quickly.
Yeah.
I think both of you, Charlie and Danny, talked about the more rigid system Villarreal have, and since he has more protection in front, I think it goes both ways. When you are more of a defensive side, you have to do more defending. So yes, you have a bit more protection, but you are always under constant threat. So when you look at Jose Mourinho's team and Diego Simeone's team and those managers that are a bit more rigid and compact, those defenders are actually good defenders. They're not really that passive. And when you take a look at, for example, managers like Pep and Klopp who play with the ball and higher on the pitch, those centre halves are probably a bit weaker defensively. So if we have Torres, who we know is very good on the ball, and he's played in more defensive sides, I actually think he's a good player to have around. I don't think he's going to be that weak defensively. And since he plays in a more defensive structure, let's say, he usually is under threat all the time. So if you take away that threat and you play with the ball like Ten Hag wants to do, I think we might have a very, very good centre half there.
Absolutely. I think it's about preference in terms of what Ten Hag wants to do. That's going to be the key element of where we're going to play. I think Statman Timber is going to be on the list. You know, I've spoke about in the past. I think for me, a lot of people are discussing his height. He's 5'9". Obviously, it's not the norm for a centre back. Obviously, a lot of people, you know, kind of look at centre backs tall, strong. Van Dijk, Konate. You're looking at the two centre backs, City. You know, they're quite tall. This one here, you know, is he going to be our main centre back, by the way, Timber, or do you just see him being a kind of a utility man for the first season? You know how like Daily Blind came into our club, wasn't really a starter, but then came in midfield, was left back, was centre back, you know, was used out, you know, versatile in his domain. How do you see Timber? You know, and his kind of overall abilities.
Nah, I think if Ten Hag brings Timber, he starts in it because this is. I always say your first signing is like a statement signing kind of thing, isn't it? I think the interesting thing with Timber, when I watched Ten Hag's final interview with Ajax, he said he looked like he was like a potential captain kind of thing, isn't it? A big leader and stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought that was quite interesting in terms of when you're a new manager, you want players you can trust, players that can kind of, in a way, control the dressing room. And it seems that Timber has respect at Ajax. Can he bring that to United? That's a different conversation. But I think even if he's not a guaranteed centre back straight away, he can play right back. He can play holding midfield, and we've seen that. Ajax fans have praised his versatility before, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Like, you think his height's not going to be an issue?
Height, potentially, but when you're looking at his aerial like dual success rate, it's not even too bad. It's 60%. Like, could he struggle in the Prem? Yeah, but at the same time, like we seen taller defenders like what Harry Maguire. Let's be honest, he hasn't been phenomenal in the year for United.
Harry Maguire.
So just because you have height doesn't mean you're good in the year. Like we seen, for example, in Myers Koundé, I think Koundé has a very, very good leap on him.
Yeah, he does.
But he's quite a short defender. I think he'll be fine in the Premier League if you go somewhere like Chelsea, which I think he will be.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily that massive on the height thing kind of thing. I think it just depends on your leap, mainly.
Do you reckon we can get this wrapped up, Dan? You know, in terms of, can we get this wrapped up, bro? Like, I don't know. Like, it seems to me like there's something that we're waiting for. I don't know what it is. These kind of deals, I would have assumed that they'd be done, getting wrapped up quickly. Hopefully mid-June, early June, before we at least start the preseason. We need to get this done because I feel like for me, it's getting a bit kind of, I don't know what this transfer is, man. It's a bit weird, this one, man. It's almost as if, like, for me, I don't want to complain because I know Ten Hag has had them meetings with the board to say, right, I'm looking for these assurances. So I know it will happen, but it's kind of almost like, you know, when we're not seeing 1,000 names, there's not 1,000 centre-backs. Like I know there is in terms of Bastoni, there's Ndika from Frankfurt. There's, you know, the guy from Monaco, Badashili. There's a lot of defenders out there, you know, in this day and age, but we're not linked with them like so many. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, listen, quality over quantity for me. Also, the culture of leaks, forget the dressing room. Remember, the culture of leaks starts from the top. I think Arnold and Murta and the recruitment team, the leaks aren't just coming out. Because we used to know our entire list before side. We knew the first guy, the second guy, the third guy, the fourth guy. We had the whole blueprint and we ended up with the fourth guy. That's not the case anymore. So I think whatever we go for, I think we're going to decide in the next 2 weeks. I think it would be, it's going to be Torres or Timber. I'm pretty certain about that. And we'll know in the next few weeks. Just to back up what Statman was saying, with the height thing. Remember, Victor Lindelof is 6'2". He's 6'2". Yeah.
You wouldn't recognize that, you know.
Okay. Also, with Timber, the thing that he does, don't get twisted, he loses a lot of aerial duels. But because he's so stocky and so strong, you'll know, Said, Gary Neville at the back post. Statistically, he lost the aerial duel. But your eyes told you he got his body in the right position, so the attacking player couldn't get a good header on the ball. And Timber is good at doing that. He's good at doing that. And anyone who thinks, listen, just go watch him defend Haaland as well, like on the deck. He's strong as an ox. So yeah, that man said, the height thing's not an issue, man. He's a strong boy. He's going to adapt to the Premier League physically, no problem.
Is that me? Is he?
You could say you're doing some extensive reading there. Something caught you.
Yeah. So I thought it was you. Go on. Finish up. Did you finish up?
No. I've wrapped up my point.
All right, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. I just want this kind of deal done, Charlie. You know what I mean? I want to hopefully see us get Timber in. What do you think his best overall abilities are, Charlie? You know, from watching him, do you see more of being a right back? A lot of people say that he could be a right back. He could develop into a right back. You know, we haven't got strong right backs at the club. I personally don't think so. I don't think, you know, Dalot and Wan-Bissaka are good enough. Can he form into a right back, maybe a CDM? People are saying that he can play in that role, number 6 role. Obviously, we don't want him to. We'd rather get an actual ideal CDM. But where do you see him playing for Man United if he does come?
Yeah, so I think the first thing we need to understand, like, Ten Hag's principles. when you'll see, you might not see it in the first few weeks, but you'll see as time goes on with Ten Hag here, you won't see, for example, he plays a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. You're not going to see that formation on the pitch in possession. You're going to see something different. Yeah. You're probably going to see something, maybe not against the top sides. You might not see so expansive, but you're probably going to see this 2-3-5 that Ten Hag in possession with the two centre backs. This is just what he's done in the past. So the two centre backs are the last line of defence, and then he's got the next line will be three, with the central defensive midfielder in the middle and the left and right back either side, and then a front five with the two wide players, the two number 8s, and the centre forward. So in that instance, Timber could be one of the centre backs in the last line of defence. Recovery could be very, very useful there, or on the right side of the three of the second line, contributing to the attacking play. And that's what he has done really, really well from the right back position. But as the three, the second line, as the three, sort of almost playing in midfield as the inverted fullback, that's where he excels in possession in terms of contributing to the attack. For me, I think Ten Hag, obviously we don't know what Ten Hag's thinking, but Ten Hag, I think Timber's going to be one of those really, really versatile players against teams that might be more physical. Obviously Burnley have gone down, so there's not that many teams left that play with this really, really strong, centre forward that they just lump the ball up to and head it. There's not many teams that do that anymore. A lot of teams are a lot more technical. But when we do come up against those sort of teams, it might be a case of Timber moving to right back, and in the majority of games, he's playing centre back. We just don't know. So for me, I think I don't know. The question is I don't know, because I don't know what Ten Hag's thinking. But centre back or right back, I think he'll be absolutely fine. If it was my choice, I'd sell Wan-Bissaka, I'd sign Timber, and then I'd also sign another centre-back.
Okay, fair enough. Obviously, we're going to discuss now the actual centre-backs that are there at the football club. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, they're going to complement whoever we bring in. Maguire, Adam. A lot of people think he's a foregone conclusion and he's going to be sold, but I actually don't think he's going to be sold. I actually think Ten Hag will actually, the club will not force Ten Hag to work with him, but again, we'll want to try and see if they can get and recuperate the money's worth that they got for him in terms of 80 million. How do you see Ten Hag deploying Maguire? He does have qualities on the ball. He can play out from the back. He is a good ball progressor, but in terms of defensively, I'm not sure. He's not had the best of seasons. He's been shocking for large parts of it. How do you see him dealing with Maguire? Obviously fragile, to get his confidence back up.
Yeah, you're asking the wrong person, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, that's why I asked you, man.
Because if I'm being honest, look, Maguire is all right on the ball, but the problem is not his actual technicality on the ball, is the pace with which he makes decision, moves the ball, quickly releases the ball. That's my problem with him, to be honest. And defensively, I think he's shocking. I honestly just think he's terrible. Very, very, very bad. But I think Lindelof might be better than him with Ten Hag. We have Varane. We want Timber. We are in discussion for both him and Torres. I just don't see it. I would pick Lindelof ahead of Maguire. I would pick Varane. I would pick Timber or Torres, whoever we get, ahead of him. So maybe he will work with him. He's the captain after all, and he will have to do it. And because, look, I don't like Maguire, but I wouldn't want the manager that comes in to not like Maguire like I do. I want the manager that comes in to be fair to all of the players. Because, look, that's me personally. When Rangnick came in and when we sacked Ole, I don't rate Marcus Rashford. I don't rate Jesse Lingard. But I thought, knowing what I know from Ralph Rangnick, with the way he plays, I thought Jesse Lingard and Marcus Rashford would be actually good players for him. And I said, you know what? Maybe I don't like them, but if the manager wants them and rates them, I have absolutely no problem with that. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the players I like. It's about the team winning. So if we get a manager that get the best out of the players I don't like, well, fair enough. At the end of the day, I will just be proven wrong. And that's fine. And this, I have to apply the same logic to Maguire. I don't think he's a very good player. And I don't see really, really how he can outperform Lindelof or Timber or Torres in the Ten Hag system. But if by some miracle somehow Ten Hag manages to do that, fair enough. I just don't think the attributes he has, he can actually outperform the other players we have and the other players we are linked to. So I just don't see it really happening with Maguire, to be honest. I just don't see it happening. But if he does somehow with Ten Hag and he actually gets going and his brain gets quicker, like he releases the ball quickly, he moves the ball, he doesn't hold on to it too long. Well, then fair enough. I would say, you know what, good job. I would say good job. But I have a hard time. I really have a hard time like imagining it.
Absolutely. Big up to you. Big up to everybody who's watching, by the way. Please, guys, smash a like on the video. If you're watching right now, do hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. Statman, I'm going to come to you next. You know, I mean, I think you've defended a few times on Twitter. I've seen you in terms of Maguire. Do you think he can be resurrected? I don't know. I just feel like for me, is there any hope? If you're not going to sell him, why keep him? That's what I don't get with my United.
Resurrected like he's the Undertaker. Is the Undertaker coming back?
Well, I don't know. I'm just trying to say, like, can he be like? Because at the end of the day, for me, I feel like the club have got this image that Maguire can be fixed, and Ten Hag is that man to do it. Rangnick, obviously, the whole structure of the football club was just, is on his knees. Where do you see Maguire fit? Because I feel like for me, this is very, very precarious position. If Maguire is playing under Ten Hag and he's making mistakes, the fans get on Maguire, then the fans get on Ten Hag because he's picking him. So where do we go from here? I thought the club would have just said, you know what, we're going to take this matter out of your hands and we're going to sell him, because I feel like for me, we've not got money's worth. Where do you see it?
Man. Like, I can't lie, we're never going to sell Maguire this summer. Like, we're not going to take that big of a loss. Like, who's paying even like £40 million for Harry Maguire this summer?
After the Newcastle is the only club that would buy Maguire.
No, but Newcastle ain't that stupid either, because they've been linked to people like Sven Botman.
They are not that dumb.
I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is Sven Botman really better than Maguire, though? Come on, man.
Bro, no, but in terms of age and stuff.
But if he was at Man United in the same circumstances, come on.
Bro,
no, but the thing is, it was...
You can't say that to anybody. Don't even try.
You took over me, man.
Sorry, Statman, carry on.
I was going to say, like, we're not realistically going to sell Harry Maguire. And one thing I would say about Harry Maguire, one thing that goes his way is fitness record. He normally is very, very injury-free. And say, for example, a couple of other defenders get injured, he's going to be given a chance. We know that no matter what.
Yeah, but
so I think it always happens at the club. It always happens.
It's always the dead players that are always fit, isn't it?
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I agree with that. But at the same time, like, it's a truth in it. Harry Maguire has a good, like, he's normally injury-free and stuff, so he'll be given a chance. And I think, I do think slightly Ten Hag has pressure, kind of, to make it work.
Yeah,
I think United have pressure to make it work, because then, he's the most expensive defender in the world.
Oh my!
You said him for £30-40 million. You just look stupid as a club, and I don't think they really want to do that. But at the same time, like, I don't think Harry Maguire gets helped by, obviously, people behind him either, in terms of David here, in terms of he's not the best off his line. It's the truth, Saeed.
So, did you see that clip of David De Gea? He seen Maguire in a very awkward position and he cleared it out. I think the confidence comes from the defense.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about in terms of, like, say the ball comes over the top. David De Gea normally doesn't sweep out and come out, kind of thing, innit? Like, it just doesn't help if you're a centre back.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's true. That's true. You know what? I actually can't admit that. You know, that is a very, very, interesting situation. But the problem is, though, Danny, he costs a lot of money. You know what I mean? How are we gonna get rid of this? How are we gonna sort it out? Like, because it's a very, very expensive mess, isn't it?
They always are at this football club.
Yeah,
there's different ways to attack this, man. How am I going to attack this? So, this is the thing for me. When it comes to, I'll give you an example. Maguire, Lindelof, at their best, defensively, believe it or not, you actually get the benefit of Maguire at his best. Every player has the best version of himself. At his best, he's aggressive. At his best, he's winning aerial duels. Statman put out the tweet about the high line thing. When people say he only looked good when we played low block football, it contradicts a large part of what we saw 2 seasons ago, not last season, right? So if you think about the 2021 season, we're on the front foot in second half, chasing games, winning games. That's how we won games away from home. Second half football on the front foot. So the best version of Maguire can be useful to Ten Hag. that weakness. So think Steven Bergwijn, Tottenham, the lockdown season. Everyone remembers that situation.
Yeah.
Those situations, nothing is going to change with Maguire. We know that 1v1, big weakness. But the other weaknesses in his game that people point to, saying he's a completely shit defender, way overstated. Like, trust me, if he was as bad as some people want you to believe he is, he'd bring England down. I don't care if England are playing Azerbaijan.
Bro, he's terrible. He's terrible, Danny.
He'd bring England down. I always say to people think, you know what? See Tyrone Mings? Tyrone Mings is actually what people think Maguire is. Just watch Villa. They could be 3-0 up. He will find a way to do something. Statman's laughing. Tyrone Mings has these
He's horrible.
That you could be the best situation. Mings will find a way. But look, I digress on that.
What is the best version of Maguire, though? Someone's saying, what is the best? What is the best version of Maguire?
No, I'm saying him. Every player. You realize there's a player in League One who has the best version of himself, right? This is the problem that people seem to have. Every player has the best version of himself. Maguire at his best is progressive. He's turned into Lindelof. He's passive. Maguire, when he first came, he didn't have any shame on the halfway line. He'd go into tackles. And by the way, he'd win 7 of them out of 10, lose 3, get absolutely skinned, but he'd keep doing it. Victor Lindelof runs away every single time. If that's what you want, because the centre-back doesn't get embarrassed, no problem. But I'm just saying, when he's at his best, he's aggressive. This season, he's been passive. He's been playing like Lindelof, halfway line.
He's been passive, bro, but I can find your calculation.
Look, I don't think about it. How many times have you actually seen Maguire this season get done one-on-one?
Bro, do you know how many times Maguire gets dragged into a tackle where he has no right to be there?
No, that's a different comment. I'm talking about his specific weakness that's relative to him. Because what you're talking about, you can point out the team structure. I'm talking, forget team structure.
No. I'm not even addressing.
Maguire on the halfway line, we know if someone's running at him, he's garbage. He's going to be done one-on-one, right?
Yeah, but he puts himself in that situation because he's thinking.
No, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, this season, Adam, have you not noticed? You haven't even seen that. You haven't seen that. Do you want to know why you haven't seen that? Because he's been running away to the edge of the box. That's what I'm saying.
This is what I'm trying to tell you, bro. No,
you can't try. I'm saying he's doing that. What are you telling me? I'm telling you what he's been doing.
Let me finish my point. Just my sentence, not even my point, my sentence.
Okay, go on.
What I'm trying to say is I can find you many clips of Maguire going into a tackle like a headless chicken, not even thinking about it. That's not even him being done. That's him doing himself. And there are many occasions that happened this year. Look, I know Maguire that we saw this year and the year before is not as bad as the player that is there. I know it. But my problem is, and I need to ask you the question, Danny, what are your standards for this football club? Because he doesn't meet them. You can tell me about the best version of Maguire ever, and I couldn't even care less. Why? Because we need to have someone like Fofana, we need to have someone like Van Dijk, we need to have like proper quality. Maguire is good on the ball, he's good at making long passes, but he relies on that so much that everything is slow. Everything is slow. His thinking is slow. The way he releases the ball is slow. Sometimes he goes and get into that tackle on the halfway line when he shouldn't do it. So yeah, you have Lindelof being too passive and not doing it, and then you have Maguire being dumb and doing it. But at the end of the day, you have to choose between absolutely 2 horrendous choices. So at the end of the day, you can chat to me about his version and this and that. And I know he's better than what we are seeing. I know it. But still, that's not good enough.
Okay, but the same applies to Lindelof and you pick Lindelof. So I don't really understand. I don't understand any. This is what I would say, though. Let's be clear on this. If I was building the team, I wouldn't have any of them. I just have a world-class centre-back. I want world-class players in every position. But it's ain't Football Manager. It's FIFA. And it's year 1 for Ten Hag. In Ten Hag's first season, there's going to be players that we don't like, that he's going to have to tolerate and be constructive with. Unfortunately, Maguire's one of them. Bailly and Jones are going. If we get a centre-back, Lindelof or Maguire should be taking up Bailly and Jones' position, no? That's why I wouldn't stress about it. One other thing I would say as well, on this thing about Maguire stepping out like a headless chicken, the problem I have with people consistently pointing out those situations is you have to have the same energy for the lack of structure in midfield. And then once you have that, you'll get to
that's why I would say that's key. Yeah, absolutely.
Hold on, let me be clear. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
I was having a conversation with somebody the other day. What you've seen this season is Maguire put in a situation that only an elite defender can recover. If your midfield, well, if the front line, it starts with there, but we'll bypass the front line for a second. If your midfield do not protect that space between them and the defense, and your centre backs are constantly being drawn out, they are going to suffer. Only an elite centre back can deal with that scenario. Maguire's not an elite centre back.
100%,
That's why
100%. And I have the same energy for the midfield, and I have the same energy for Lindelof in case
you point that out, but understand the volume, the amount of times he has to step into the DM role effectively is too often, and he's not an elite centre back. And hold on, sorry. And on top of that, he's had the worst form of his career. So of course he's looked horrible. No.
He has to step into those positions. Why, Danny?
Let's
Why?
summarize this. I want a world-class centre back. No problems being Maguire being benched. But this, again, when I talk about the best, there's a best version of Lindelof. There's a best version of Maguire, right? These are going to be the backups for Varane and the new centre back this season. My preference is for the best version of Maguire over the best version of Lindelof. That's all.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. But if I have the same energy for the midfield, like you said, in the structure, and in case you guys don't remember, I have the same energy for Lindelof. Saeed and Charlie and Statman will tell you I don't rate Lindelof. I don't rate Lindelof. I have the same energy, and I would sell them both. I still, however, think that Lindelof is slightly better than Maguire. I do.
Adam, I always say this. You know why I think people feel that way? It's just the joke I put. It's because Lindelof doesn't embarrass you. If he was proactive, and was making mistakes, people would dislike him more. It's because he just.
And I said it, and I've said.
I find this funny with Lindelof.
I've said that to Saeed a few.
No, 100%. I think with Lindelof, I feel like for me, he does take that cautious approach. But then again, sometimes I feel like it does benefit him in a way because, you know, Maguire then shamelessly goes and comes into that. Yeah, I think it is. I've seen it. He steps in, especially him and Shaw, by the way, they step in too much. I think you don't need to do that. It happened in Newcastle. Newcastle for me is the biggest example of the goal against. Was it Almiron who scored, or was it their right back? I can't remember. Almiron came in through.
Saeed, I'm going to stop you. Let me tell you. I'll tell you why I'm going to stop you. I'll tell you. You put up a perfect example about the point I was making. Yeah. So Maguire has stepped from the left centre back position to literally the same vertical line as Varane. Charlie understands tactics. He understands football. All of you do. The left centre back should never be in a situation where he's on the same vertical line as his partner.
No, right? I hear that. 100% hear that. But I think for me, I get that there needs to be more structural, change at football club, and Ten Hag will deliver that. But I still think Maguire, for me, intelligence for me, I don't know if it's part of his game. I really genuinely don't, because sometimes you don't have to come in and step in. Sometimes you don't have to. You've seen it. What was the other game? There was another game where he stepped in. I can't remember what game was it. Liverpool.
Listen, they're endless.
Liverpool.
Endless.
Yeah,
Liverpool.
Again, the Liverpool one.
You can't really blame Maguire too much.
No, I'm not saying blame him wholeheartedly. Of course not. But he always seems to be centre of it.
I got thrown off track in it by Adam, so I wanted to make a larger point. Football stuff aside, listen, it's even with all, we can break down the player's game. This stuff is almost irrelevant. If he loses that armband, it's sink or swim for real. Like, it's either you become the best swimmer you can be, or you drown. Like, that's the thing people need. And I'll be honest with you. How many would you guys back Maguire recovering mentally if he loses the armband? I personally wouldn't. So
there you go.
His weaknesses as a player or strengths almost become irrelevant. It's merely it's the mental aspect. Like, if he loses the armband, none of this stuff matters.
Absolutely. Big up to everybody who's still watching, man. Over 400 of you here. Please smash a like on the video. Charlie, you make your last point on Maguire. We're going to move over to Varane. But yeah, go on.
No, just a couple of things. Firstly, a big issue that we've got, and this is generally in football. When a player goes through a few good months of form, they get called world class. It happened at the end of last season with Maguire and Shaw. Yeah. I was on many YouTube channels with people saying Maguire was the best centre-back in the world. I was telling them, no, he's not even in the top 20 in the world. And I was correct. Everybody agrees here. At that time, even Maguire then, with the season he'd had, he still wasn't in the top 20 in the world. You could name at least 15, 16, 17 centre-backs better than him.
100%.
It's not just about form, and this is the issue that we've got generally in football. What's happened with Marcus Rashford? These players get drawn up to be better than they are. And I think that's a mistake we've got to not make under Ten Hag. The same happened with Elanga as well. When Elanga started playing a few good games, people were saying he's the next best talent. And we were on a show, I remember it. It was a Friday night show again. I remember talking about Elanga. And I think we all said, and I definitely said, he's not the most technically gifted player, but he does the basics right. That's what I said. And this is the thing with our fan base. When something new happens, a new player comes in, a player from the academy, a new signing, we gas these players up to be world class to make them think they've already made it, but they haven't made it. You've got to have you've got to be a bit modest about your game. You've got to be a bit modest. You know, you look at Liverpool, you look at a player like James Milner. You know, James Milner never gets many plaudits. Look at the job that he does for Liverpool. You look at Man City, Zinchenko. Exactly. Zinchenko, for me, is he's one of the most well-rounded fullbacks in the league, the way he plays, Zinchenko, but he doesn't get a lot of plaudits. So that's just the point I'd make on Maguire, Shaw. The same with David De Gea, Fernandes, Rashford, whoever it is. You know, let's actually hold these players to account. They need to show us very, very months and months and months and months and years of good performance, consistent performance, before they get called world class and incredible.
100%, absolutely. You know what? I think it's
go for it
quickly. Yeah, I think we need to be honest with ourselves, and the fans need to be honest with themselves. Like we all have players we think are better than others, but we need to be okay with being proven wrong. Like I said earlier, if Maguire somehow happens to be very good with Ten Hag, I would hold my hands and I'd say, you know what, I was on his neck. But if the team plays well, fine, fair enough. And we need to let go of this idea of bringing starting players and then bench players, because that means when you try to buy bench players, that means in my mind, the way I understand it is you need to get players that are not as good as those starting, but just slightly better than those you have on the bench already. And that doesn't make any sense, does it? It doesn't at all. So you need to get only starters. You need to get only players that you think would start and improve the team, and then the bench players and the starters will you would get clearer who is what. So you just get, like, for example, the question you asked earlier, Saeed, about Timber. Does he come in straight into the starting 11, or maybe we give him? You get players for the starting 11, and then they prove to the manager in training and on the pitch during games who deserves to start. And we need to be honest with ourselves. We need to get wingers that will, for example, make a very, very strong competition for Sancho and for Rashford. And if it doesn't please us that Sancho is being dropped or Rashford is being dropped, but the other new player is taking their spot, well, then it is the game. It's competition at the end of the day, and it's Manchester United. And the same happens every single day.
Yo, Saeed, I have to say, we keep having these 10 hard conversations. I don't know why De Gea is not a target yet. We need to have the De Gea conversation.
Well, I think we're going to do a separate debate for that one. That's it. You know,
he keeps putting it off every week. He keeps putting it off.
Listen, that'll be next week. Having the game debate.
You know what it is? I just had a picture in my mind: players on the halfway line and the goalkeeper.
Did you watch a Van Gaal era? Did you watch a Van Gaal era?
The picture. He's not that same person. He's a different person, man. He's not the same guy.
Well,
350 grand a week, JGD side. Trust me.
For a player who's been saving us for a lot this season, you're missing that. I don't know what player is
saving us, rooted to the line. He's like, Groot.
Listen, that will be. I promise you, next week.
Keep in order, innit?
Yeah, listen. I think. Listen, we're gonna have that debate next week, people. But listen, I want to start with you, Statman, Raphael Varane. A lot of people saying first season tax. I'm not sure, man, for a player of his quality, you know what I mean, gets away with it, man. I think for me, he's one of the flops of the season. I don't know what you guys are thinking. I think if that's harsh, listen, man, I think he is one of the flops of the season. I say that because I feel like for me, for the pedigree came in, for the kind of experience he came in, I've not seen any of the leadership qualities. Whether people say that he's meant to have that, I'm not sure. But for me, he hasn't improved our defense. That's what I wanted him to come in and improve that defense. People can say, right, Maguire should be that defender. He, for me, should have improved my United defense, and he didn't, Statman. And people have got to ask them questions. Not does it mean that I think he's washed, and I think next season will be a massive season, and we're going to back him. But people that say he's had an okay season, he's had a poor season.
You're spot on.
Yeah,
you're spot on. And the reason I think he's spot on, is all about expectations, isn't it?
There you go.
This is what we were saying in Champions League. Varane. This fan base is world class. This fan base was saying he's one of the best defenders in the world, and has he proven that?
I think
he's been top 5 defenders in the league.
Sorry, go on. Excuse me, I cut you off.
No, I was going to say, he hasn't even been top 5 centre-backs in the league, if we're being real.
Nope.
Injuries has been frustrating, but at the same time, this is what I always say. How can this guy just turn from a good defender to a bad defender overnight?
But you know what? That's the thing. I don't think he's been bad.
He hasn't been bad.
I think he has improved. I think he has improved our defense. And I think he's been our best.
No, I think he's improved our defense slightly, but I don't.
No, our
think
defense hasn't improved. We conceded 51 goals or something.
No, in terms
of
with
Varane,
you can't say that.
No, I think no. But look, is our defense better without him or with him? So basically, he's improved it.
There's no difference for him.
There's no difference.
My problem is injuries, because
I know what you're going to say, Charlie.
If you take a look, he's been injured a lot, and I have a problem with that. But every time he's played with Lindelof, every time he's played, we don't concede 3-4 goals. I think he's been the steady one at the back. I think he's been the best of all our centre halves and clear. And we have a team that has, like Danny said, you need to put it in perspective. Like we said with Maguire, I need to apply the same thing with Varane. The team as a whole has been shocking. The defending as a whole has been shocking.
Absolutely, I get it.
Next to him haven't been good. So we have a man that's been playing for a very good, successful team for years. And now the way he's been defending with authority. So let's be honest. It's just been one player cannot do it all. So I have to say he has been underwhelming. But to say he's been one of the flops, I just simply don't agree with it. I think he's been an all right defender.
No, I think Saeed meant in terms of expectations.
Expectation, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think Saeed necessarily Varane's been shocking. I think
that's on us.
Yeah, of course.
That's
the Man United show,
That's what we're saying in terms of our defensive organisation has to be taken into consideration.
Can I read you a couple of super chats before? Yeah, go on.
Sorry, Said, go on. I'm
just going to read the super chats before I come to you, Charlie. Rinesh says, do you think Maguire is better than Smalling? I mean, I think still people don't realise how bad Smalling was, man. You know what I mean? As much as he had that one great season, people don't forget that. Did you see that pass he tried to do against Brighton? Come on, man. I enjoyed Smalling, but I see the worst of Smalling as well. So people, that's just my opinion. Big up to Jose Mourinho. Go Statman. De Gea used to sweep. Go watch games under LVG. Yep. Away at Anfield 2-1 versus City 4-2 at home. Defenders were high. Ollie played a low block. Coach. That is
he
massive,
used to
massive
come for
point.
crosses too. Why is he not coming for crosses?
I don't know. Maybe the kind of mismanagement of the defense.
You know what David De Gea is, yeah? You see when you look at Hugo Lloris, I wouldn't call Hugo Lloris like the best of modern day keepers, isn't it? But you can see he's trying to learn and kind of become better kind of thing. You can literally see improvements in Hugo Lloris's game, in my eyes, even in terms of on the ball. I don't see the same improvements with David De Gea. And I don't think David De Gea necessarily wants to learn that as well. Because we've seen it like...
I don't have to be a bit harsh.
Nah, because we've seen it in terms of goalkeeping coaches, what he's done with that as well.
Yeah, to be fair, but then again, have we had the best in class? That's the problem as well. Charlie, I want to go back to you. Did you want to make a point there around Varane?
No, Varane. If you watch him on the pitch, when he plays, I don't think he's been terrible. I don't think he's played well. I think he's for his standards, he's probably been bang average. Yeah. It's probably just because our other defenders have been so poor that he's looked the best out of them, probably. And I think Danny knew what I was going to say. I think I said this a few weeks ago about this stat. But when Varane and Maguire have played together, we've only lost. I think they played about 11 games. We've only lost one of those games out of about 11. Now I'm not a Maguire fan, but that is quite interesting. I think Varane and Maguire. I'm not talking about Maguire's form, but in terms of their attributes, I think they complement each other okay. In terms of their attributes, I'm not.
I want to stop you there, Charlie. People said that Varane and Lindelof was the better partnership, but again, go on.
Not for me. No, not for me. I'm not a Maguire. I think Maguire and Lindelof both should be sold. I don't particularly like either of them. I'm just saying that is just a fact. We have drawn a lot of those games, but when Varane has played, I know we lost 4-0 to Brighton, but I don't think there were too many other games where we got absolutely hammered.
He was playing with Lindelof against Brighton, right?
Yeah, he was playing with Lindelof. I think when Varane and Maguire...
There's a few games where he was a bit, I remember Newcastle away, shocking.
He had just come back from injury, though. I think the injury thing is my problem. It's the injury thing. When he's actually played, I think he's been okay. I think because he's been injured so often, that's probably lowered our rating of him, which is only fair because a sportsman should be fit. You know what I mean? We expect them to be fit. They're getting paid. They should be fit. So that should be part of it. But Varane is decent. And then De Gea, Man, De Gea, I don't know what to say.
Next week, man. Save it for next week, Charlie. Don't worry, man.
Yeah,
save all your facts,
week,
people.
You know what?
Sai's gonna be on next week. Watch.
Yeah, no, I'm there.
No,
I'm here, man.
I'm feeling a bit under the weather, lads. Well,
Charlie, we prepared some graphics for next week as well, Charlie.
You know what, Said? Another thing quickly about Varane.
Yeah.
I think people overrated him before he came in. I don't think people understand that Varane is not on the Ramos level. I don't think he's on the Van Dijk level. When people were talking about Varane before he came, I said he's a very, very good defender, but he's not like top defender. And people maybe said, oh, Champions League, Varane, 4 Champions League, this and that, he's going to be the next big thing. Or he is already the big thing. I think he's a very, very good defender that improved us, but he's no Rio, he's no Terry, he's no company.
Yeah. Someone say that he's agent. I'm not his agent. I just want more respect.
Listen,
because a lot of people say to David De Gea, you can't come out of his net, but then we'll praise Mendy for being a good, good distribution of the ball. And look at him this season, man. The amount of games that he's been shocking.
Mendy has no shame. I respect players who have no shame. Make a mistake. Don't be scared to make the next mistake. De Gea is the opposite. He's scared to make the mistake. I just can't. Sorry, Sid. I can't have this. Varane's world class. I don't care what no one tells me.
He's world class.
Is he world class?
Listen,
he is a good.
Was he world class? Was he world class?
Okay, listen. I always say to people, when you get these centre backs who get to world class level in their mid-20s, and then people want to throw him under the bus, and then bear in mind he's got his age 29, 31, 32. That centre back is coming. Don't get me started on the manx like Saeed, who were telling me Wes Brown is better than Rio Ferdinand. Yeah,
no. I've never. No.
I spoke to Meriden about it. Don't try it. You're part of that
defamation. That's defamation.
Yeah, the period in his career.
I've never said that. I've never said that. By the way, people.
That's where Rio got the no concentration tag, and Wes Brown was better than him according to the fans in the stadium. Yeah, Varane. First of all, as a defender, he's always been better than Ramos. Ramos just has other intangibles that elevate him. Varane.
You think Ramos?
Host is gone.
Varane, he's had enough.
He's basically the best sweeper defender. That's what he is, right? But for him, if you want the benefits of Varane sweeping, he needs a partnership. That's why he's looked slightly better with Maguire, because Maguire will step forward, and so he knows he can sweep after that, right? There's some predictability there, but you want that in a better team structure. Varane has suffered from the lack of team structure. In his first, say, 7-10 games, don't tell me you didn't see his individual class oozing. You saw it. I saw you, man, tweeting about it.
Away at Wolves. Away at
Wolves, the best game of the season. Best game of the season.
His football team, the goalkeeper,
you name me 5
Maguire,
games that Varane has been exceptional.
Sure. Hold on, Saeed. Infected him. Yeah? You look at what happened against Atletico Madrid, even though the pass was coming from De Gea. Yeah? He got infected by the rest of the idiots in the team. Listen,
you said it's world class, right? World class. What does world class defines a player who consistently plays at the highest level?
I'm gassing him. He's in that tier below world class. I'm gassing him.
Let me just read the super chat first of all.
He's in that tier below world class, if I'm being serious. But you man were going a bit too much in it, so I had to.
A big up to Ty. Saeed, bro, this isn't funny how De Gea is sweeping and coming for crosses decreases when Oli brings in his relegation and championship goalkeeping coaches. Listen, we're gonna discuss it. Keep all your opinions, Ty, and come in next week. We're gonna discuss David De Gea. I don't want to get into no new conversation. My thing is, I want to ask you the question. I'm gonna ask you all guys as well, but Danny just in particular. Give me 5 good games Varane has gave us this season, and for me, it's only 1, 2 maybe, and that's probably Aston Villa in the FA Cup, and maybe 3 West Ham at home. We kept the clean sheet. Go on.
I'll be honest for you, it's difficult. It's tricky. I can't even think of 5 games where Man United were decent, because there aren't 5 games.
Well, there you go.
Trying to find a player who was good for 5 matches for 90 minutes, which doesn't even happen anyway.
Another thing as well.
I don't know. I can't give you 5 off, but I'm just going off memory because we're talking about the early part of the season. I saw him as an individual show me the things that I knew just like jockeying. Stepping out to a player aggressively, but because he's so agile and mobile and able to read the game, manipulate where the attacker goes. He was doing those things in the early part of the season. And then towards the end of the season, we saw what happened. Like the Tottenham game, for example. What happened to him is what happened against Lindelof against Brighton. We could keep conceding the same goal that no one talks about. Happened against Lindelof against Brighton. Oh, I don't know what's happening to my camera stuff there.
I don't know, man. It's you. It's the fact that you call world class.
I'm just talking from a blank screen. And then remember the
Yeah, go
Tottenham
for it.
goal? He got pinned by Harry Kane. Don't forget that. So he's been the team.
Yeah.
The team structure's hurt Varane. Don't worry. As long as Varane is fit, he will be fine. So long as he's fit. That's the asterisk.
Well, that's easier said than done. I want to get to the last part of the question before we wrap up the show. Statman, I'm going to go with you. Who is United's best partnership? Who United should have next season starting for Man United? Next season, when Erik ten Hag starts the season, we're only going to get Timber, I reckon. I don't think we're going to get Pau Torres. So who do you start next season? Is it Lindelof or Maguire? Maguire and Varane? What's your centre-back pairing next season?
It's tough.
I still can't believe I'm saying that when in reality we conceded how many goals this season and we're still going to be them centre-back next season.
Goal difference 0.
No, I can't lie. The person I really want is Koulibaly, innit? Because I think he has a year left in his contract.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to happen, innit? It'll probably be Timber and Varane as a centre-back partnership. And
that would work, Statman. That would work. Because Timber's aggressive. So Varane can be Varane and cover. Be beautiful.
I can't lie, though. I would prefer someone like Koulibaly, though, because we've seen Koulibaly play that left centre-back. I know he's not left-footed, but he's comfortable there, innit?
Yeah, he's very comfortable.
Saeed's frozen, by the way, if you can't tell. So I guess Charlie answered the question.
No, go for it. Sorry, lads.
He's come back to life. Yeah, I would say.
Got resurrected.
Yeah.
I would say, Timber and Varane. And then you've got as I said earlier, I'm not a Maguire fan. I'm really not. I'm not a fan of many of these players at all. You've got Sancho, maybe. Maybe my favourite player, really. And that's really slim pickings. You know, his little cameo away at Liverpool was the only slim picking we really got from anybody in the last sort of few weeks. But Maguire and Varane, from what we've got now, in terms of the attributes, I think they complement each other best. If we sign Timber, you can play Timber at right back, or you can play Dalot at right back with Timber and Varane. So probably Timber and Varane with Dalot. We'd have to play Dalot. And I'm not. You know what we've said about Dalot. I think he's Wan-Bissaka for me is just not for me. But Dalot is okay at certain things, progressing the ball, but still his end product will have to improve.
Give me Gusto.
I was asking
Leon.
Who?
Gusto from
Malo
Leon.
Gusto, yeah.
What about Bastoni?
Bastoni's for me a very, very interesting.
And Gvardiol as well. He's a top player at Leipzig.
Yeah. Adam, have you said yours?
No, I would say Varane and Timber, and it's for me. It's easy. It's Varane and whoever comes. To be honest, like those don't deserve really to get a shout. And going back to just quickly the question you asked about the Varane's good games, I think there are players, defenders and central midfielders as well, that when they have a good game, it's a good thing that you don't notice it. That means they have done everything right. Like a good Carrick game is a game where you don't see much of Carrick. And the same with Busquets and the same with a good centre-half as well. When they are all over the place, when they are actually defending too much, that means the team is playing very badly, or that they are putting themselves in position where they have to overcompensate to get back in position to do the actual defensive work. I think sometimes with good defenders and good midfielders, if you don't notice them, it's actually for the better, to be honest. So I can't, off the top of my head, pick 5 games where Varane's been good. And that's actually sometimes a very good sign.
Absolutely. Well, I think, Danny, have you said yours, by the way?
No, but I'd say, Varane. Listen, obviously, if Timber comes, it's Varane and Timber. You'd have 2 quick centre-backs who've got sense. We've had Phil Jones, Smalling, who's now world-class. Please, listen, Varane and Timber. Every day. Marcus Rojo, excellent tackler, but brain dead as well, man.
Yeah, brain dead. Yeah, absolutely.
How are we going to end up with a red card? I still don't believe that stat about him not getting a red card.
Yeah.
She's an absolute.
Rojo the other day. Eating pizza, smoking on the pitch.
Yeah, man.
The
season. Yeah, it's crazy. But people, we're going to wrap up the show here. Big up to everybody who's watched the whole show live. And if you're still here, you know what I mean? Still 400 of you here. So big up to you for coming on. Please, guys, smash a like on the video. If you haven't done that already, here's your time to do it now. Leave a like on the video. It's a good debate show we've had this week. And big up to the panel who's come on, man. Charlie, man, let them know. YouTube channel now. You know what I mean? You're starting it off now again. So big up to you. Everyone's link and description for their channels are in the description, people. So make sure you subscribe, follow them on Twitter, etc., etc. But Charlie, let them know. where they can find you.
Yeah. So Threadman Chaz are on Twitter and YouTube now. So I'm hoping to do more YouTube content. We're going to start live streams. We get some good guests on as well. So yeah, thanks a lot for having me on again. And I enjoyed it. It was a little bit feisty at times, which is always good when you got different. Yeah, it's good. No, it's good. You don't want to all be saying the same things. It's good when people have got different opinions. So I enjoyed it. I think Saeed's frozen again. So Adam, go and shout yourself out.
Yeah, Adam Manred on Twitter. I have more sense when you hear me speak than when you read me tweet. So maybe just look for the next show. And a pleasure as always. Thanks to everybody, guys, and thanks to Saeed.
I can't lie, man. I'm already looking forward to next week. With Saeed and the David De Gea debate.
I don't think he'll do it. I don't know.
Hey, Saeed better not hide, but make sure you guys just subscribe to Statman Baines YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah, listen, I'm looking forward to next week as well. I'm gonna bring some graphics. I'm gonna get some graphics ready. Just so, but that clip you mentioned earlier when De Gea saw Maguire. 2 weeks later, somebody responded to the clip. Maguire was injured, obviously. It was Lindelof, and guess what De Gea did? He booted out of touch.
Yeah, that's both are dead, and himself is dead.
That's David De Gea. But yeah, you can find me at Devil Details MU on Twitter. You get a link to my YouTube there. And yeah, just be aware if you're not familiar with me, all I do is run agendas. And my agendas are designed to combat other agendas. It's my favorite thing to do. I've been doing it for 2 years. No one actually knows what my football opinions are because I just run agendas all day. So yeah, follow me on Twitter for all those agendas. You can catch them there.
Big up, man. Everyone said their thing before I wrap up now. I don't know what my internet's doing, man. It's interesting.
Somebody said you're doing a McTominay. Somebody's commented. You're doing a McTominay,
man. We're doing a McTominay, man.
Hiding around here.
Listen, man. People, I'm going to wrap it up here before I get out again, man. Love people. Take care.